the timing where we're at, the ceasefire agreement that was reached was largely the result of the pressure imposed by the incoming Trump administration. And now that administration is in place and is putting its team together, so they will be very major players going forward. Prime Minister Netanyahu is traveling to Washington and will meet with President Trump on Tuesday, so I'm sure that will be one of the major issues that they discuss. After these 15 months of war, the situation remains very, very sort of log-jammed, and I would say desperate, particularly on the Gaza side of things. Israel aimed to destroy Hamas. As we can see, Hamas is still, managing to maintain a show of force, showing that it's not been defeated, which is certainly a frustration for the Israelis and for the Trump administration as well. I think that will make the negotiations even more difficult. We know that the Prime Minister is under a lot of pressure from right-wing members of his government, some of whom resigned, to resume the war on Hamas. On the other hand, there's still about 79 Israelis in captivity with Hamas. Some of them maybe are not alive, but still. So there is a second phase that needs to be negotiated of hostage releases. Whether that will lead to a permanent ceasefire, that will be we'll have to wait and see.
Is there a risk during these talks that things could fall apart and we can see a resumption of hostilities again?
Well, hostilities have continued on and off at a low level. I think President Trump has made it clear that he does not want any major outbreak of war, neither in the Gaza Strip nor in Lebanon. Yeah. And I think Prime Minister Netanyahu takes that seriously. But I do think low-level conflict is likely to continue on and off, both sides pressuring each other as relates to the upcoming negotiations. The bigger question is if we are to move towards a permanent ceasefire and a final release of all hostages in phases 2 and 3, what is the post-war governance arrangement for Gaza? Israel is insisting it maintains control. President Trump has asked Jordan and Egypt to take the people of Gaza into their own countries. So it's still very unclear how this is all going to be negotiated out.
What about Iran? Because you say that's the elephant in the region, right? And a lot of uncertainty, Iran being the biggest issue, and, where Netanyahu stands with Iran, how he may act on Iran versus Trump backing him on, with his hard line.
Yeah, that is probably the biggest issue that Prime Minister Netanyahu wants to talk with President Trump about. It is not directly related to the Palestinian issue. In other words, Israel and the Palestinians have a very complex set of, challenges on the West Bank and Gaza. President Trump has to engage with that. Yeah. But for Israel's approach to Iran, Israel feels that Iran is extremely vulnerable now. Israel would probably be interested in resuming major strikes on Iran and would seek U.S. backing or U.S. support. While President Trump is very hawkish on Iran, he has also made very clear he doesn't want any major wars.
Right.
So how will President Trump deal with that contradiction is something we'll have to watch.
Paul Salem, appreciate your time. Thank you.